Oh, alrighty. This is going to be my first hypothetically public stream. I'm going to I'm going to start building a very, very pared down version of the app that I've been building in private for a while in public using various GraphQL, Dart, and Flutter libraries. Um, so, obviously, I've never done this before. I've never streamed open source development before, so we'll see how this goes. Let's just jump into it. I bet adopting a persona will make this a lot easier, even though I'm not talking to anybody. So one thing I wonder about is I don't want to necessarily make the entire project. Whatever. I'll just do it in the build GraphQL repo. So, salient to y'all, built GraphQL is a library that that I made to do code generation with from GraphQL models, or from GraphQL queries and schemas. I'm going to be using built GraphQL, which generates built value models in tandem with GraphQL Flutter and PostGraphIL to build a complete Flutter app and backend. So that's the plan, at least. So I'll probably end up writing a lot of contributing a lot to these projects as I find the need for new features. That's typically my modus operandi. So let's see. And I'm kind of not going to be filtering my process very much. I don't want to really bother with editing. I encourage the people of the future to jump around because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dead time. So let's see. I wonder how much of this you can see. I want to make sure that you can actually see what's going on. I kind of have so let's, I'm trying not to obsess too much about the layout and stuff early on, but I'm gonna, because I'm neurotic. So built GraphQL currently doesn't really have that much of an example. The only example is the same kind of loose Star Wars example that I made for GraphQL to Dart. GraphQL to Dart is the progenitor of this project. So let's get onto a branch that's specific to what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're messing around with building a sample app in public. Check out -b for new branch. The app I'm going to build, I've decided to name To Do O'Clock. I know that it's a stupid name. That's the point. So I don't know how much I want this to be a monorepo structure, but a monorepo structure is probably what I'm looking for, something along the lines of GQL. If I'm going to really get invested in this project, I should lay things out this way. But the thing with monorepos, is Dart. The last time I looked at the monorepo tooling for Dart, it was kind of unimpressive. YouTube's letting me know that my live stream is live. I guess that's valuable. So, yeah. But it allows you to develop examples and their dependencies in a very tight fashion. So, let's just go ahead and take a look at built values, layout. So it's basically one guy does a ton of this, basically all of this project, and what seems to work for him is monorepo. There's some specific tool, I thought, but it doesn't look like he's using the Dart specific tool anyways, unless yeah, it's not in the pub spec or anything. Okay, so we're going to switch to monorepo format. So that's going to entail basically moving everything into built GraphQL. It's going to freak out this. Okay, there's nothing else except for the schema. And that's going to be the schema for our example to do o'clock. So we're just doing some scaffolding. The general premise of this app is that you can track the amount of time that your specific to-dos take, which is a similar dramatically pared down feature set to my main project. Well, that's worth a commit. So I don't know why it... Okay, the built GraphQL example was already busted. So I think Flutter has some kind of like scaffolding tool, doesn't it? Flutter create app. Let's call it to do o'clock just in case it probably makes a bunch of iml, like to do o'clock.iml, and yeah, I love that it generates the idea file. Yeah. So, and the other aspect of this is going to be the back end. As you can see, there is a slight lag to my terminal creation that I have not bothered to deal with, but it's been with me for a while, so I should really deal with it. So this probably has a get ignore. I personally prefer to move the get ignore to the top of the project. And I don't really, just don't bother with what's in a get ignore, because like, or I mean, don't bother with like the layout and stuff. It's just a utility file. That's my philosophy anyways. So aren't you glad I just started at the very, very beginning? They clearly, the flutter scaffolding project clearly disagrees with my philosophy of centralized get ignore. Why make it more complicated than it has to be? Init flutter app to do o'clock. So this is roughly the structure that I hope I'm. So I have this. Hopefully you were able to see all that. I'll check in the preview thing. So I have this like mouse focused hotkey system that, no, it's not a hotkey system. There's a OBS advanced scene switcher thing that lets me switch scenes based on mouse position. Unfortunately, because I want to be able to switch scenes, like have multiple scenes that focus on the same app, I can't use the app focused scene switcher, which would be much more foolproof, because I am going to forget to move my mouse all the time. I'm going to have to get used to having this, like the viewport that y'all see in the bottom corner. I'm just going to have to deal with that so that I can know what's actually going on. So, did I just tip hand? Probably. Oh no, it's not large enough. Okay. So yeah, you probably couldn't even see the commands I was just entering in. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, my 0th viewer. That's not a zero indexing joke. That's I have absolutely no viewers joke. So let's see. Okay, so this is gonna be a. Oh really? Okay, that window's not as big as. Okay, I should just yikes. Let's just do it so that you can actually see what's going on. All right. Oh man, that's half my screen. See, this is. I'm gonna end up adding like 6 scenes to my current OBS setup to keep myself from going crazy, because I have a very spread out programming environment. I like my space. Okay, so as you can see, everything's broken. Let's get something done today. Let's actually start on this app. So for some reason, Flutter wraps the pub API. I'm not sure why they do that, but I'm sure they have their reasons, because they're a clever bunch. Okay, why is this not? What reason? We've got lots of errors and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I need to point Flutter to the application directory. Oops. Hopefully there was nothing sensitive in the tab I just tapped over to. So I'm currently looking in a different project to find some. Why is there a bug config? Weird. Sorry, I'm looking for configurations that could. Really, I should just copy this whole VS Code file into this new project. So one thing about programming that I think is often not really talked about is that you, as a developer, in a lot of ways, you're the sum of your projects. So you can always dip back into whatever code that isn't proprietary that you wrote and just pull from there for whatever whatever new project you're starting. So that's why I know I saw some I was watching some videos to better understand oh dear. To better understand streaming software development, and the guy had a scaffolding tool, and I'm like, why bother with a scaffolding tool when it's basically a process of copy, paste, delete? It takes about 5 seconds. So, okay, no, it takes longer often, but anyways, hopefully that was enough filler to keep these rabid fans entertained. I'm streaming into the void here. This is okay, and my mouse is in the wrong place. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. This is my personality is just so designed for this shit. You can tell because I'm already swearing on my first stream. So I don't know why it didn't copy the launch file. Okay. So now we want to, oh, we don't actually want it to move. We want it right where it is. But it didn't help. It didn't help at all. So one thing we could do is quit. Just give up. And then code dot dot, you know? Just code dot 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 and open it back up again. Turn it off and then turn it on. I got a recruiter hitting me up on LinkedIn. Do you think they're watching? Why is the audio? What? Why is the audio meter frozen? Is it because all of OBS is frozen? I bet it's because all of OBS is frozen right now. This is great. I wonder if this is carrying over to this sucks. Okay, I'm gonna pretend like everything's going fine. And we're going to build some software. So actually, instead of a backend and an app, maybe I'll just, yeah, because I don't really want to mess with PostgreSQL that much here. But I do need a package.json. So I'm dipping back into this project, grabbing a package.json. I'll keep the structure. I'll keep some structure. Can always move things around later. To do o'clock. I love this name. It's so bad. This is when you learn there's an apostrophe in this project name. What heresy. What heresy. So for this particular project, I used a tool called Scripty, which is good for like it lets you break out your package scripts into actual like bash files or Python files, whatever you want. Very, very useful project. But this will hopefully not get that large. So, and really, I don't want to bother too much with doing like architecture, like adding migration to the Postgres schema. So really the only script we're going to use is we're just going to use postgraph in a pure library usage scenario. So for those of you who don't know, postgraph is a GraphQL backend in a box that sits on top of Postgres and serves your entire schema as a GraphQL API. Okay, so let's go look at some documentation. I really feel sorry for anyone who ends up watching this first iteration, because I feel like I am just doing so bad here. How well is this working? Why hasn't that? God damn it. Okay, a higher priority issue is that the advanced scene switcher seems to have crashed. I wonder if it's because I'm checking for updates too fast. Oh yeah, OBS is broken. I can't even look at its menu. Wow. Wow. In the interest of undue amounts of candor, I am going to now stream my OBS troubleshooting. So I think there are a couple possible reasons why this is happening. The resolution I'm streaming at is like kind of high. I'm streaming at a higher resolution than is really I'm streaming at a higher resolution than my underlying display. Not like the whole display. I think I'm paring down the resolution of the entire screen to the aspect ratio of whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't think that's the issue. Let's watch this video and find out. Worthless. So OBS has logs. So to illustrate the issue here, OBS is taking 230% of the CPU. So let's take a look at the OBS logs. What? Oh. So current log. So hopefully we'll see this thing is flipping out. Nope, it doesn't tell you anything. Sigh. Wonder if there's sensitive information in here. They encourage people to share it online, so it's probably fine. Cool, it uses Python. Interesting. I'm sure this is absolutely riveting. Maybe if I just like cut down the buffer size. I don't think that's what matters though. Here. Okay. I just turned down the FPS to 30, so we'll see if that makes a difference. Hopefully it does. I would rather just not think about this stuff right now, so let's go back to do o'clock. This isn't even the main in my other thing. Okay, so because this is just going to be a actually I might want those later. Okay, so this is all we should really need. These other things should be unnecessary, even in my other project at this point. I'm going to leave my version of the GraphQL upsert plugin because we might want it later. I'm also going to leave the... No, I'm not leaving anything. We're going one step at a time here. I promised myself it'd be one step at a time. I think this was a suggested for all users. So exit suggested. All. Okay, I'm just leaving it. Is there a new version? Whatever. Don't need any of that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't QL. That's a me. Okay. Obviously, this is not going to be the database. So I forgot what A and J mean. I don't need relay support, I don't think. Yarn it. Yeah, given that I just ran yarn, I don't want to node modules in the top level, so let's make a back end. Let's move the node modules to back end. The guy with the project scaffolding thing is laughing at me now for how much munging I'm doing. But and the schema, move the schema to the back end. So the schema, I am a big believer in schema-driven design. So the way that my current project works, and the way that this project is going to work is I'm going to write the Postgres schema. I'm going to generate the GraphQL schema from the Postgres schema. Then I'm going to generate huge swaths of Dart code from the GraphQL schema. So my goal is to write one expression of the problem domain and have that propagate through the app to as much of a degree as possible without it being impractical. So I clearly already did some of this. We don't need anything except for a task. So I'm not going to call it a to-do because a to-do is not a good term. We have tasks in our system. Imagine trying to describe your system with the term to-do. That is a egregious namespace collision. So task is pretty generic, but we're writing a very generic piece of software, so it fits well enough. This is a lot of, what I need is, there's a extension for Postgres that we have to make sure is enabled. So I'm reaching into my old app. You can't even see it. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Are y'all embarrassed? It's all so small, My monitor is a 4K TV. So everything, it's all so small. I don't want to pretend like I use just like a tiny square, or that you should use a tiny square. So that's why I'm subjecting us all to these rough patches of getting used to the scene switcher. So I'm dipping into, I have this just colossal bash script that composes my schema, and it instantiates plugins, etc. and I don't even know where anything is, so I'm going to have to ACK for it. It's for, there it is, ACK. It's like grep, but better. We're just using the public schema. So this lets us do this default, though really the reason we're using UIDs is for instantiation of complete entities on the client side, because why not, right? That lets us do optimistic updates easily. So really what I want is a scene switcher that automatically switches to the scene with motion in it. Like what does that? What does that? I know Blue Jeans does that. I'm sure like all video conferences switch between whoever is like producing the most output. So like I like that feature. That would be a badass extension to OBS. I'm going to search for that later. Okay, so we've got our schema. I'm not going to do anything fancy here. I'm going to take the schema and just jump into PSQL, create a database, connect to the database, and just spit it out. And I'm trying to go slow because I get burned by going fast, you know, trying to build the entire data model at once. It's not a good move. No matter what they tell you, no matter what I tell myself, don't do it. Okay, so no, what we want to do is take a look at our package.json. Okay, I did that right. So backend npm run yarn start. Okay, okie dokie. We've got ourselves an endpoint. But we also want to eject schema. We want to spit it out. Write export. Export is the term. So we want just the GraphQL. We don't need the JSON. So we can serve and we can export. And what's wrong? Okay. I don't know what else to call this. So I like the GraphQL extension because there are other systems that use .gql, and I'm a fan of verbosity. So yarn export. So there's, okay. Okay. It just does that. I forgot about that. I think in order to purely export, that's not right. So this is what the PostGraphQL generated schema looks like for a single table, right? It's given us all this goodness. I don't know how in the world ID is not a required field in the base type. That doesn't make any sense. It should really be required. Oh, I'm not like tipping hand. Okay. I just want to share my stream with my friends. This is how much I guess I can edit this in the future. So I will edit it very aggressively. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, that's the scene switcher. That's the scene switcher which I cannot control properly. So what am I in the middle of? I'm in the middle of actually depending on built GraphQL. So built GraphQL is obviously going to be a dev dependency. So I'm going to just go lift the dependencies from the other example that is far less sophisticated than what we're going to be building, and doesn't know what I just said about it clearly being a peer dependency or a dev dependency. Sorry. So don't need that. Do need that. Do need that. Gonna need that. But that's going to be a normal dependency. Yeah, I do need that. So it looks like OBS is no longer overwhelming the system, but it is still running hot. So basically, we're going to want to get some configuration here for generating our models. I'm starting with this because this is in large part a built GraphQL example. So I want to get the code generation part started early. Built GraphQL isn't really published yet, but oh yeah. So the build file can't reference reference files outside of your project. So we're actually going to have to write the schema into the project itself, which is annoying, honestly. I don't like that you have to do that. So I'll probably look into a way around that. Most GraphQL based like code generators or just tools in general let you point the tool directly at like a URL endpoint. I don't know if that's the case with GQL, which is the Dart GraphQL library, but we'll see. So instead of moving the schema, and you can also test the headless option. So instead of moving the schema, we'll just regenerate it. So to my only viewer, I'm starting on a sample project for using built GraphQL, GraphQL Flutter, and well, also PostGraphFile, but that's kind of auxiliary. So I'm currently just getting the scaffolding set up. That's basically it. Yes, I can see your comments in the stream. But overall, I'd say this is going pretty well. You know, I think real streamers, they get things like set up beforehand and they know what they're gonna do, and so. But right now, I'm just doing the scaffolding stuff, anyways. So next time, maybe I'll have this stuff to a point where what's the term? I can have more of an agenda, but the what do you mean? Oh, like why am I working on it at all? Like so there are a couple reasons why I decided to work on this. The one is that I've been very much struggling to I've been really struggling to focus on my like main project. So I I've been really struggling to focus on it for multiple reasons. One, it's very large at this point, and I recently started doing a like oh, that's interesting. Um, when you say a heavy delay, you mean between what you like me reacting to the chat. I think that's normal, but I think I have the settings as low latency as they can go. Um, so so the scope of this app is essentially it's a to-do app that lets you track the duration of the tasks that you're working on, and similar temporal to-do concepts. Um, so, oh yeah. So the as right. Okay. Yeah. So it's a very pared down version of Savvy. Um, in a way, I don't even know if it's worth calling a version of Savvy because it's like so it's has different goals, but it'll let me mess around with like the abstractions that I am trying to refine in Savvy that like I'm not really feeling able to move around in right now because it's like very large, um, and like I've got like too many half baked ideas in there that I don't really want to like throw away or like start over on. And I'm kind of burned out on the project, so I figured I'd work on this thing. Um, yeah, it's kind of like Savvy Sketches, yeah, and um, I've really wanted to try out the streaming thing, so that's why I'm working on this, um, to get more comfortable, like in front of the camera, essentially, um, and to like get better at the term that I like is exporting my work. So like I do all this open source development, and like a lot of it is pretty opaque, and like the actual usage is like how do you actually write an app with all these tools that I've built, like, or that I've contributed to. It's like kind of depressing that they are kind of languishing away, and so yeah, that's why I'm working on this, um, and just the other thing that was making it, I think one of the other reasons why I was struggling so hard to like focus on Savvy is just the coronavirus stuff. Like it's just in my head all the time, and so I'll try to focus on like something complicated, and I can't because there's bandwidth. Good to hear. I'm glad. I think like it's funny. I feel like I'm pretty good at doing the like YouTuber caricatures and like you know like riffing and stuff, um, in general. So I'm kind of trying to get over the uh, like I'm very self conscious with like being on camera. So like right now I'm trying as hard as possible to pretend like you're somebody that I don't actually know that I'm talking to, so that I can uh, assist in the process of like getting better at doing live streaming stuff. So so but yeah, that's the long and short of it. The project is called is to duo clock, or to do clock. to do to do to duck clock, tad o'clock. Yeah, I'm just gonna conscript all like my actual friends to like make like alt email accounts to drop into my stream on it with to like help me get over my camera shyness. What was I in the middle of? Okay, so yeah, so we're exporting. Export is not a good name. It should be at least export schema. Oh, one thing about YouTube streaming, which is a massive plus over Discord, is that on with YouTube you can like go back and apparently edit the stream, so I can like just crop out massive swaths of like pointless garbage. At least that's what I'm hoping. That's kind of why I'm leaving in massive swaths of pointless garbage right now. Although really what I'd like to do is like crop them out but put them somewhere else, because I'm just an archivist, right? I'm a hoarder. I'm a digital hoarder. So yeah. But I like the idea of doing things in such a like raw, unfiltered way, because the reality is that's how it is. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to project a falsehood. So, I mean, not to say that that's what other streamers do. They're just better than me. I'm just making excuses. But why did I jump into this? Get ignore. I did it to hide the schema file. So, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that. I want to keep the schema file around. Oh shit. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Recursively. Do it. Duh. Okay. So backend node modules. Simple enough. Okie dokie, artichoke. So I'm going to go over here. This is going to be my lesser used terminal. My lesser used terminal where I cannot see the camera. Where did the camera go? The delight of, I think that happens due to OBS grouping, because that's the only time it's happened. So I have to turn off the advanced scene switcher, check that everything else has it, delete the grouping. There we are. There I am. Look at that handsome mug. Go back into the scene switcher. Okay. And we're back. Okay, so this is my lesser used window, which we will use to run the server. Although, okay, we'll use it to run the server later, but really we should get some modicum of application code running, because it's silly to go this long on an app project without having an app. So let's show these errors. I'm going to go ahead and just delete. Oh, so this is a consequence of the utility I'm using in the example in built GraphQL, that because I'm globbing all of my operations files, I'm picking up a bunch of generated stuff that doesn't make any sense with respect to the rest of the code. So oh, interesting. That's not good. OBS isn't bad. OBS is pretty impressive for a piece of open source software. Like, I think it's basically the industry standard. So, at least for Mac users. So, I don't know how critical I can be of a piece of software with this kind of functionality. I think probably the reason why OBS is straining is because I have it misconfigured, or like I'm abusing the resources on my computer. Why did my That's funny. Okay. CC just sent me $700 with Apple Pay. Very clever. Made me feel like a real streamer, getting those donation notifications flowing in. So I want to just throw away these files that are causing an issue. What is it? Example build. I can just delete the whole build. I think. Okay. I'll just delete the Flutter assets. It's still complaining. Okay, I'm just deleting the whole build. Ain't nobody got time for that. Oh my god. I copy this path? I can't copy the path. That. There we go. This is wildly irresponsible of me. I need a sweet gaming rig. Yeah. Honestly, I've been like, my computer's kind of janky, and the display flickers sometimes still, and I've just been putting off going to the Apple Store. I wonder if I can get them to like just let me trade it in for like the market value for, or like a higher than average market value for the 16-inch. I would like that. Okay, so now we've gotten rid of that. It doesn't want to start. It doesn't want to start because the launch that I stole from a different project is not set up for this project yet. Where's... Okay, they changed this icon. Okay, so it's not Enva driven. This is dumb. Okay, the program. I think this, okay. So these, none of these apply. Ha! That is the validation I like to hear. Absolute stranger Daniel Lewis, 69420. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that we're definitely total strangers. So, okay. If I start the Flutter emulator, I feel like it's gonna just... okay. If I run emulator, I wonder if it's gonna like destroy my computer. I love getting 4 different notifications across platforms for LinkedIn recruiters that are trying to recruit me to do like Selenium testing of React apps or something. Just absurd. So one annoying thing about OBS is that when you close and reopen, when you say out of sync, like, ooh, I started the iOS simulator. I bet that's why. When you say out of sync, do you mean audio and video? Oh, cool. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. How big should I make this? I mean, I guess we're on the full screen right now, so... Oh, what I was saying before is something annoying about OBS is like, I closed and reopened the simulator, and that means that now I have to like reset up everything, like reposition it. So what's really going to matter for the simulator positioning is the other ones, which I cannot switch to. Okay. I need a hotkey for disabling this advanced scene switcher. I have to go into its settings, disable it, close the settings, and then proceed. What do you mean by dedicated capture boxes? There are four, well, there's 5 scenes in my OBS setup. Oh, you mean like an external like piece of hardware for capturing the stream? I know there's like GPU enclosures for MacBooks. In fact, as if I get serious about this stuff, like first of all, I think that I can seriously afford. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. Um, it sounds like a hassle to set up, but uh, yeah, I mean, if I get serious about this stuff, it'll be appropriate. Um, so, what am I trying to do? I am trying to find a good um, oh no, no, a good positioning for the simulator. I'm guessing that the simulator is currently too small. I'm just going to put it over the code outline because I think that's a location that is not particularly important on any of the views. Jazz is freaking out. Jazz is my dog. Hey, stop that. I really, I'm not sure where to put the simulator. The simulator takes up a lot of space. I feel like if I could like flip to it on the fly, like expand it on the fly, that would be cool. But I don't think that I can. The idea of like yielding even more screen, I'm just going to put it in different places for now. Okay, I don't think that this is very important here. I don't think that my face is very important, so for this, I don't think that this area is very important. This area can get very important. That's not really true, is it? But whatever. And I'm going to make it small over here. No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's good. And then it can go in the same place. So the only real place where it's a complicated question is the main view for VS Code. And then I'm probably going to have to do that every time I open the frickin' simulator. Okay, so this is the default Flutter app. Obviously, that's not what we're aiming for. Um, but at least we have something rendering. And I'm trying to speak louder. I wish I couldn't hear myself talk. Um, so, how should we proceed? The features of the application are we're going to have we're going to have a to do list um, that you can what is the structure of this going to be? Um, I guess yes, I can increase the gain on my audio interface, or I increase the mic sensitivity. I guess those are different things. Here, actually, I turned it down a bit, and I'm going to um, look at. I don't think that there are any ways to mess with it in OBS. Okay, so I'm gonna make it like that sensitive. I kind of didn't like the way that the like more sensitive mic sounded, but maybe if we just add some effects to it. Um, oh yeah, okay. So I should turn the OBS scene switcher back on. What's up, gamers? Back again with another programming stream. I don't know what this sounds like, so I don't have any kind of audio monitor. Um, so I'm probably going to have to resign myself to using like ah bypass on. Do I? I don't have bypass on. I don't have bypass on. It's on manual. It should be vocoding. Is the reverb working? Megaphone. Very surprising if it's not working. I guess I can just turn it off and then on again. Reverb is working. That's interesting. Maybe the whatever. Um, what about the pitch manipulator? I wonder why that is with the like fancy effects. The knowledge that my voice is much deeper to people on the other end of the internet is very strange. All right, let's go back to code generation. Code generation is fun, and everyone should do it. And there's definitely no downsides at all. I guess I'm really going to have to just like bite the bullet on this like uh, display stuff, like having a certain amount of code in screen and hopefully that's the dream. All I want to do is stream code code about streaming things. Uh, Stream code about streaming software. What is going on? Why is this taking so long? So one thing about built GraphQL is I'm not sure if this is because I'm always rebuilding the library, um, but it is slow as f. It is very slow. So we've got lots of errors because because yes, you can be my audio engineer. Um, that, I don't know why I did that. So we generated some schema code and it's broken. Why is it broken? How could it possibly be broken? There's like nothing in this schema. It's broken because of the lack of scalar definitions, probably. Okay, so yes, okay, obviously, because in order to generate valid code, you need to have valid source files, and we do not have valid source files because PostGraphile defines some scalars that are not defined. So this is what I get for lifting code from the wrong file, from the wrong project. Always go for the, oh, it's frozen. the volume meter on OBS is frozen. Is this going is this still working? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? I'm going to come back to that later. We're going to want a daytime. We're going to want a PG daytime. I can make it very interesting. So, but OBS is not responding. So this is the frame rate is not the issue with the preview I have in OBS has stopped doing scene switching. It stopped like telling me how much volume my audio is at. So that's kind of annoying. And this is not the first time this has happened. So I think I'm kind of worried that there's like a memory leak in the advanced scene switcher, but it's probably more like the settings are bad. Let's get some functioning output. We're not replacing any types yet. We don't have any irreducibles. These are just like utility features. This isn't even implemented. We don't have any mixins because we're starting off simple. So the reason for having multiple, okay, I'll just leave this as date time. We're going to need my custom PG date time type at some point. Try it again. So this time it has some cache to work with. So we'll see if it goes a bit faster. That was way faster. This doesn't look right, does it? But it is right, isn't it? Because I need to do flutter upgrade. Because this is inline conditional syntax for Dart. I probably need to specify the level of the SDK. I want to build with the most recent version of Dart. Really, with how with how good Flutter is about like outlining a migration path forward, just always stay on the current with Flutter. They're so good at like leading their users forward. I'm looking for the wrong thing, aren't I? I should be looking for the Dart SDK current. So we want at least 2.7. And that should get this to stop complaining. Honestly, it's pretty impressive to me that despite being in a non-responsive state, OBS is still streaming. But it still sucks that it's non-responsive. I wonder if... Nice. Nice! This is going to be like... This is my number one strategy for staying sane during coronavirus, is doing something new. Just... you know you're doing something wrong with your life when your primary purpose for existing uh, mainly presents itself to you as like uh, un, unstoppable hydra, an untamable hydra. You don't really need to even um, see. One thing I realized is that you don't even need a green screen to like do wacky hijinks stuff yet, because I'm just a box, right? You can just throw around the box. Um, Also, the background is like mostly white, so we can probably mess around with that too. Okay, this is taking a while to load. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. I get that it's complaining, but it shouldn't be. Welcome to the Michael Joseph Rosenthal emotional support stream. How's your quarantine going? Are you in CC um, sheltering in place, as the kids call it? I could just... Coming to you live from a bunker made entirely out of hoarded toilet paper. This This is the Rambling Quarantine Show. Grab your Quaaludes, because it's quarantine time. So this is a great example of yeah. Yeah, it really is like the one thing I was thinking about is like I'd really like to it would be cool to in some way make programming more accessible to all the people who are currently getting just like obliterated economically. I mean, they're not totally, but so here's a great. Okay, this is weird. Um, this is kind of a problem with. I don't know if it's like because this generated file is in my VS Code ignore, but I probably just need to close and reopen this. And now it knows. So this doesn't get. Doesn't this have a node builder? It did. It did define a node builder. See, this is this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't know. Why doesn't it know this? Well, this isn't that important yet. I probably have to delete and then like restart. Um, so the well, let's take a look at what this is going to look like. So we've got our schema here, and we've got a mutation type. We're going to be creating tasks. Eventually, we might make this into an upsert, but that's a sneak peek at what we'll do in the future. Okay, so let's just throw this in here. If I remember correctly, we're basically just doing a one-to-one mapping here. And we're going to want to get back a, so because the backend is mostly just doing persistence here, we can just get back a confirmation that like a client mutation ID or something along those lines. I'm just going to say let's get back the, we really don't need anything. We're going to just throw away this output for now. So So let's see what the code generator has for us today. I guess you can't hear me at all now. I'm trying to get views. Trying to get views with the dog. Oh. Oh no, I'm covered in hair. Oh my god. I regret that. Trying to get views with my dog. Oh, that's what we're doing here. Okay, so it looks like create task is valid. It is infuriating that schema is not valid still. So I'm going to delete these. I assume the second is me because I'm previewing it in the like console. If there's somebody else here that I don't know, please say so, because that would make me so happy, and also so nervous. But there isn't. I'm very confident that there isn't. This is very stupid. This is really stupid. It doesn't matter. So we've got some generated types here, right? So we'll need abstractions for dealing with them. Yeah. Okay. So built GraphQL generates it generates all the serialization code that built value needs to hook into to know what to generate. And it also provides some handy dandy wrapper methods, class methods, and instance methods for going to and from JSON, so that I didn't have to write a bunch of code in my other project. But also because everyone likes from JSON and to JSON. It also includes, so built value. It uses a very specific like serialization format that is like very it's very powerful, but it's like meant to be used at both ends of the wire, and technically you could write consumers and producers for it, but instead I just slightly adapted the standard JSON plugin to use type name as a type switch. So yeah, this stuff really needs more documentation. I kind of churned out most of the guts of built GraphQL in kind of a fever, for kind of a daze, but it's got lots of good stuff in here, worth looking at, worth documenting and publishing, which are things I have not done. So what we're going to want to do... noises. So I'm currently dipping into my old app and looking at some of the abstractions that I have there. So well, what's the best way to do this? So actually, we're going to need this file to work. So I'm going to stop the reluctantly stop the simulator. I'm going to quit this and reopen. And hopefully that'll rejigger the whatchamahoozits and we'll get refreshed validation. And we always want to update our packages. I'm getting tired. Put myself to sleep. And that did the trick. So my latest thinking on the best way to do client-side caching, strongly typed client-side caching, is, well, it's a bit tough because in GraphQL you basically I want normalized partials of the query results in the cache. I think that's the best approach for doing a GraphQL cache on the client side. They might as well be strongly typed. In one sense, builders are strongly typed partials. So, you know, that's a good idea. So built value. I think built value has a configuration mode for doing comparable builders. So if we comparable builders. Ooh. So it's kind of heresy, what I'm considering here, but I'm nothing if not heretical. So the this basically makes builders mutable value types as well. And if builders are mutable value types, then that means we can use them as our cache entities. So, which is a bit of an abuse to put mutable. It kind of defies the design. The other options are to just generate partial types. Yeah, OBS is scriptable. That's how somebody made the advanced scene switcher. So yeah, what I was saying earlier about OBS is like, if it's possible to do scene switching based on like pixel motion, that would be insane. Like, because then I wouldn't have to manage the mouse. I have some other ideas for how to automatically manage the mouse, but I don't think there's fundamentally a way to like map the cursor position to the mouse position, or the mouse position to the pixel motion, like pixel change. So if if a region of the screen changes, then switch to a specific scene. That would be the ultimate. It's probably very computationally expensive though. So how can we abuse this is the question. I don't think that I was generating builders before, but I don't think I generate any builders now. So I just extend on the builders. So because I don't generate builders myself, we could use the builders as the cache entities. But I don't know if that makes any sense. I think probably what would be better is there's actually kind of an issue I have with. I think we should just probably bypass the null checks that built value uses and do them ourselves and add a is valid field. That's what I was doing in GraphQL to Dart. And it kind of begs the question, like, should we be using built value at all? I'm honestly not sure what the answer is. Maybe maybe my infatuation with that project was, I mean, like it's a great project, but I don't know. I'd rather be using built value than the alternatives. Um, okay, I'm starting to fade. It's only 4:30. Programming while babbling incessantly is much more difficult. So for now, I'm going to use the generated task and I'm going to use the generated task class as a starting point for my cache. Abstraction. Man, I'm really faded. Let's do something simple here. Let's render things that are in our problem domain instead of a counter. So list of tasks. Can you all see this? I can't tell where the delimiter between the screens is. OBS is still not responding. So that kind of like makes me really suspect that there's some kind of just memory leak in the advanced scene switcher. Great question. Great question, Dan. The MVP is create tasks and fulfill tasks, like complete tasks. So, and be able to so it's there's tasks and then task records. Those are the eventual entities in the system that I'm currently thinking of. And the user can create tasks and then like those tasks emit task records, so they're repeatable, optionally repeatable, and they have timers, and that's it. That's the whole thing. But you know, it's kind of a that's the idea. That's the core idea. So I figured I'd try and encapsulate just the like time and consistency aspect of Savvy, and that's it. And then make some graphs. There are not flexible metrics. There are time. It's time, just time, like a timer. you start a timer for each task to see how long it takes, and that's all. Stretch goal of the timer being a optional countdown timer instead of a count up timer. Yeah, this is laggy. Also, I can tell that I'm going outside of stretch goals. But yes, that's a perfectly appropriate ha 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 ha. Yes. Yes. Let's get ourselves a stateless widget. Let's call it task display for now. It'll just take a task, right? So it will need a we'll need a constructor. And let's make it a, oh, I don't know, a list tile. Let's make it a card. I like cards. I like cards. Let's abuse the card construct. Everyone else does it, so I should do it. And just put cards in everything. I'm a card collector. So tasks have titles. Tasks have descriptions, which will probably get removed from this card at some point. But there we go. It's a display task widget. And then we're going to instantiate some things. I think I need an UID library. But for now, we'll mock. It's important to mock things and not just go full stack all day. Even though that's what I do like every time. So without thinking about it, I just used normie syntax for instantiating things, but we're using built value, so we have to use magic builder syntax. I have currently decided against doing like you can generate custom constructors for built value, but I've currently decided against that because I like reminding myself that I'm using built value, and this approach is just more flexible. So like that's why I did it this way, so that you get a closure to edit your builders in, and that's cool. Everyone loves closures. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say everyone, but I'm a closure fan, and then we're going to map over this list of tasks and display them. Simple. Easy peasy lemon. What's the problem? Why doesn't it like that? What's it think this is? List. Duh. There's got to be some kind of list, right? What is the name? List view, of course. That's probably why they called it a list view. So as you'll notice, the simulator is not hot reloading right now. So we just gotta give it a little bit. And let's, while it's doing that, eat my shorts. Yum. Brush my teeth. Yuck. Maintaining my viewport while restricting the viewer's viewport is probably a pipe dream. That's what I'm thinking. It really sucks that I have to force quit OBS to stop it from not responding. Okay, so I'm kind of surprised that that looks the way it does. Let's go look at the Flutter card example, because it should look better than this. We can do better. We can be better. Why doesn't it like this? What? I don't know why it thinks that's const. Circle. Line. That's gotta be annoying as hell, huh? I should not do that. So why do you think why is this complaining? It's not like I'm telling it it's const. Const constructors can be used in non-const contexts, right? Why does it care? Yeah, there we go. You see that? Okay, that's a layout of sorts. Why does it look this way? I mean, why is it giving me a hassle? Is this like a new linter rule? Wow. They have an inline span widget now. That's cool. Yeah, tell me. What's the problem here? Who cares? Why is this an issue? I've never seen this before. Handy dandy quit and code dot 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 dot. I have my debugger starter mapped to. Why does it think that I have out of date packages every time? It's probably because I have a path dependency, so I don't have to mash that button. There are no errors in my project. This is really bothering me. What the hell is this? Yeah. Hmm. I'm going to go lift some analysis options from a different project to hopefully alleviate some of these issues. This is really annoying to me. Okay. Looks like that worked. Turn it off and on again, however many times it takes. Yeah. I'm gonna take this time to... Why? No, it's doing the thing again. This doesn't make any sense. What Flutter channel am I on? Am I on like beta or something? I'm on beta. Is stable behind? When was the last release? So there was a major change recently. Is this a stable release? It was auto rolled, so I can't imagine. Well, let's just Flutter channel stable, and then I'm going to stop and restart OBS so that I can have it back. Okay, switching to the Flutter stable branch seems to have done the trick. So, no, it didn't. It didn't. I'm going insane. Nobody. Why? Why? Why does this is the most obnoxious thing? Why is this an issue? I'm just floundering around, like running Flutter clean and stuff. So this is very disappointing. Oh, I hate these sites. Okay. I As soon as I resolve this issue, or maybe before, I'm calling it quits here. This is it because I switched to a different version of the oh, maybe it's because my pub spec is invalid and has been invalid this whole time, and somehow that is messing with stuff. What is the complaint? What was the complaint that it had? Expected a key while parsing a block mapping. I don't know what it means. I don't know what the issue is. Nothing looks wrong. What if I move this? I've got nothing was wrong. How am I supposed to get around this? It's so trivial. Welcome back. I'm basically trying to diagnose this just insane error. There's no like it's throwing an error that should only happen if I'm doing this. Right? So I'm not on beta or anything, too. I switched from beta. I don't know what could possibly be the issue, but it basically makes like this error makes development impossible. It's an actual compiler error. Did you tell them to go to hell? They don't know what they're talking about. That's good. ridiculous, but okay. Hmm. This is a nightmare issue. Okay, I'm I'm gonna end this here in this far from satisfactory state, because this is really just a epic blocker. I don't know what the issue is, and I think that I mean maybe it's some kind of it's a nightmare issue to Google. So basically, it's falsely telling me that this is invalid. Um, Evaluation of this constant expression throws an exception, but it's not constant. Yeah, it's not. It's not building. Um, like I don't think this will work. If it works, great. But oh, but I cleaned. I flutter cleaned, so it'll take a minute. Um, and it's a nightmare to debug because all of the issues are just like all of the Stack Overflows or whatever are just people misusing const. So oh look at that, OBS is overheating again. So yeah, I'm there could be something cached, but I did clean. You know, I cleaned. I cleaned them unstable. The problems still here. I restarted the VS Code. OBS is broken again. I have to figure out the OBS thing before really sinking my teeth into streaming. Um, but anyways, yeah, clean didn't work again. So GG, folks. I'll catch you on the flip side or something.